Hi, this is Paz from Pictures, Notes and Words, and today I'll be going through my ranking of all the studio albums from Rockers. Hello. Hi, Marley. Shall I leave this intro in? We're going through Wasp today. One of your favourites, aren't they? One of my favourites too. Always listen to them in the car. Oh, yeah. Should we crack on? Oh, you staying in? Alright. Yeah, Wasp. Always love Wasp. Big fan of huge Wasp. Wasp been the biggest casualty in my missing box. When I moved house, I must have had a box of CDs I cannot find. It's got Iron Maiden, Annihilator, and most of my Wasp collection. I've only got 3 of them here, so it's going to be a bit of a pictures on that side. Over there, I'm afraid. So yeah, we've got 15 albums to go through. So it might be a long one. Thinking about Wasp is they were so famous for their first 3-4 albums that some of the late stuff often gets missed, unfortunately. But hopefully we can redress a little bit of the balance today. But without further ado, because we've got a lot to get through, we'll start 15 to get through. Start off with my least favourite and end up with my most favourite, my favourite one. Favourite one was never ever going to change. One there's not much. It's like a chasing pack underneath it. That constantly changed. Been a difficult one to put into an actual order. So my least favourite one is 1999's Eldorado. Guitar player Chris Holmes had notably left the band after the Headless Children, and came back for Kill Fuck Die, and stuck around for Eldorado, and it feels like it was a trying to reclaim their youth again, going back to the first album. But to me, it comes a bit. It's like they're No Prayer for the Dying, and for me, it doesn't work. Wasp had moved on. I'd moved on with Wasp, and what we got was just. It seemed a bit childish, really, and in fact, I've not been able to actually get through the whole thing in one sitting. The ideas just aren't there. I'm not sure what Chris Holmes brings to the table, to be honest. And you could tell things had to change. It's not great at all. So I'm moving on. Number 14 is 1995. Still Not Black Enough. I had a really great packaging for this one. Anyway, I've lost it. I've lost it. Oh dear. I'd like to say mixed bag, but it's not really that either. There's a couple of good ones on there, actually. Still Not Black Enough. Black Forever is really good. Where are we? Scared to Death, that was pretty good. Still Not Black Enough. But we had a cover on there. It's only like 38 minutes long. But you got stuff like Rock and Roll to Death. I mean, Breathe, and I Can't. What bugged me the most with this was you've got 3 songs where he uses the same kind of riff, which is and use that type of thing 3 times in one album, in the same album, and it's kind of unforgivable. I think the production is very thin, a bit weak on it as well. A couple of good highlights though: Black Forever, Still Not Black Enough, and say Scared to Death. That's pretty good. What were 2 covers? Yeah, I thought it was a weak effort all round, really, and it felt like Blackie wondering what to do after he'd done the Crimson Idol. Is this singing? Hang on. Let's try that. So, 13th spot, we have the Neon God Part 1 from 2004. No, it's not bad, this, to be honest. I was listening to it the other day while walking Marley, wherever he's gone. I enjoyed it. It's obviously it's it comes with the part 2. It's a whole story, and the thing wasn't. I've not been interested in the story at all, so it's all going down to the songs for me. But a bit like Coheed and Cambria, I'm not interested in any of the story. I just like the tunes. I think this one does have its moments. It's got an amazing hook in it, which he reprises a couple of times. I don't believe. That one there, that's fantastic. Sounds great. But it's 14 songs in here. There's a handful of interludes. I think song for song, I think the album just doesn't stack up against some of the ones that are obviously going to come later. I say Sister Sadie. I've always really enjoyed that. Sound of Night is pretty good. The Red Room of the Rising Sun is fairly strong as well. So the rest of it is I just don't find as memorable. Especially compared to part 2, which we'll get on to. Usually when you go to rankings, this number 1 ranks higher than number 2. But number 1 just couldn't get into it. But it's grown on me a little bit since then, must admit. So next on the list is 2002's "Dying for the World." It's not bad. The problem is, I found with Wasp sometimes is and it's prevalent in Unholy Terror and Dying for the World, Neon God Parts 1 and 2. That sort of latter second half of Wasp there's a lot of reusing similar chord progressions, so they all sort of starts to blend into one a little bit. And when I say similar chord progressions, you're talking E, D, C with a B thrown in there, like same chord progressions that Iron Maiden use quite a lot. Great for writing melodies on. Can make songs sound a little bit similar, and you do end up singing. I do singing other songs because you use the same chord progressions in certain songs. And Down for the World is no exception. But some great ones in it, like Shadow Man, My Wicked Heart, Hell for Eternity. Stone Cold Killers were enjoyed that. This is a fairly strong effort, I thought. He did 2 fairly back to back. This Dying for the World and Unholy Terror, which I thought were fairly solid Wasp efforts, really. Is it worth your time? I think it is. I don't think it's a good jumping on point, but but worth getting into in your Wasp discography. Worth a listen anyway. Moving on to number 11, and that's one of the few that has survived the losing my box, is the latest one from Golgotha in 2015. It's pretty good, actually. If you don't know Wasp, it's a good place to start really. But it's down at number 11. Why is that down at number 11, Pete? It feels like a bit of a greatest hits. It's used all. There's nothing new on here. Nothing to make you go, ooh, that's different. All seems very familiar, which is great on one hand. But after the strength of the last 2, just on songs alone, I don't think it's as good as it thinks it is. Because you've got Miss You and Golgotha, 2 similar type of slow ballady type ones with padded out with about 4 minutes of solo in each. Shotgun's alright. Last Runaway, I can live without that. Scream sounds like something they've done before. Slaves of the New World Order sounds, I think that's the one that sounds a bit like Chainsaw Charlie. And that's the thing. Oh, I've heard that one before. I'm sure they've done that one before. And so mars it a little bit. And if you haven't got the investment in or the emotional baggage that I have with Wasp, you probably listen to it and think, this is a damn fine album. And I think if I was just coming at Wasp, if you gave me all of Wasp's albums, instead just said listen to all them. They should probably rank a lot higher, but because of my history with them, this is down at number 11. Bit of a shame, really, because it's not bad. It's not bad. Again, it shows how much I love Wasp, because it's not a bad album at all. I put it at number 11. Right, moving on to top 10, and that is 2001's Unholy Terror. That's right, yeah, that's it. Yeah, like this one. Again, this one's lost in a box somewhere. But I really like this one. Let It Roar, Hate to Love Me is really good. Locomotive Man, and the amazing charisma. It's a real good foot stomping track, that, especially with it's got a build up of the Unholy Terror is a sort of prelude to it, and then just kick straight into charisma. What a great song that is. Who Slayed Baby Jane is really good. Ravenheart, yeah, with the Wasted White Boys at the end. You should probably live without that. But that's can't let the past go. You have some cheese on there. But I think some great songs on here. I thought it was stronger than Dying for the World, which came the year after. But yeah, if you've not got this one, songs alone, it's not bad at all. Not bad at all. So, down to the top 9. And this might upset some people, but I've never really rated it that high. And that is The Last Command, which is their second album from 1985. I've even Black Lawless said he liked the first two, then the one he came after it he didn't really like, and he thinks Last Command is quite strong. But if you take Wild Child out of that and Widowmaker, never been a big fan of Blind in Texas, must admit. It's just 12-bar blues, isn't it? So it sounds, the production's a lot better than the debut, but I don't know, just didn't click. It's just one of those things. One of those things, where something just doesn't click with you, and you can't explain why. I don't know. It never really grabbed me, which is strange, really, because the next one did, which is why it's lower than Inside the Electric Circus. What can you do? You like what you like. There's no right or wrong answers, really. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy it when Stick It On, I must admit. Some good songs, but it didn't blow me away. Like I said, maybe our expectations were really high after the first one. I don't know. Moving swiftly on before I upset everybody else. And that is 2009's Babylon. Babylon. I think this is a really good album. It's short, 43 minutes with 2 covers on it. So there's only 7 Wasp songs on. But what 7 they are really, really good value for money. Crazy, Live to Die Another Day, and the amazing Babylon's Burning. Me and Gig Buddy Dave saw them twice on this tour, both at Manchester Academy 2, I think it was. Packed out. Unfortunately, on the second one they did exactly the same set, but they took Babylon's Burning out, which is a shame, really, because it's one of the best Wasp songs they've done. Period. I think it's an amazing song. And don't listen to the they did a promo video of it, but that's an abridged version. Yeah, we don't do abridged here. But Into the Fires, that's really strong. Thunderhead's good. Seas of Fire, it's pretty good. Godless Run's okay. Oh, dog's off again. But thinking about covers, though, the fourth song is Deep Purple's Burn. I like to hear Wasp, but I don't really want to hear Wasp covering other bands. She's alright on like B-side or anything, something like that, but I don't know, I'm not a really big fan of covers making your main album. They also done a Chuck Berry one, I think, which by that time I've had enough, so I tend to skip over that. But what songs are actually on here, I think are pretty strong. Moving swiftly on, now the dog settled down. Number 7. and that is, as discussed before, Inside the Electric Circus. Now, I think the first 7 songs on here are great, which is why I hold it higher than The Last Command. Okay, you got a cover, but what a great cover that is. That's one of the rare versions where the cover works. 95 Nasty, Restless Gypsy is one of my favourite Wasp songs. Shoot from the Hip is as ludicrous as it sounds, but it's still really entertaining. I'm Alive, really good that. Inside the Electric Circus itself, good up tempo, in your face rock song. That then you got Uriah Heep cover there. Yeah, Rock Rolls On. It's a really good strong ending to it. Just those 3 songs on side 2. You got Sweet Cheetah, Mantronic, and King of Sodom and Gomorrah. They sounded a little bit tired because basically it's the same chorus. You've got Sweet Cheetah, and then you got Mantronic, and then King of Sodom. Basically, it's the same idea, and it just sounds a little bit uninspired. But I still maintain that side 1 of was back in the day is or to say the first 7 songs, and the last one, pretty good Wasp actually. Especially 95 Nasty and Restless Gypsy, fantastic. That's the one that Black Law says he doesn't really like, but I think it's aged well, whereas The Last Command for me hasn't. It'd be interesting to find out what anybody else thinks of that one. If there are any Wasp fans, but there's not many of us, I think. Okay, moving on. Are we into the top 6 now? Top 6. You say not much wrong here going on now. Love Wasp, as you probably tell. And that is the Neon God Part 2, The Demise. It's interesting. Neon God Part 1 had 14 tracks, a lot of interludes in there. It felt like you were listening to a story, whereas the Neon God Part 2 is just 9 songs. So it does actually feel like you're just listening to a Wasp album rather than a second half of a concept album. So I don't really care about the story. I just listen to the songs, and the songs are great. I think they're memorable, stack up in Wasp's discography. I think really strong. That's why it's at number 6. Kicks off well with Never Say Die. Resurrect is really strong. The Demise, Clockwork Mary's brilliant. Tear Down the Walls, Come Back to Black, which is an underrated one. And the 13 minutes, The Last Redemption, which is good way to finish it all off. I don't think that's as strong as the one that ended the Crimson Idol, but I think it's still really strong. It again reprises that great real hook, which is I don't believe. Yeah, fantastic. What a great hook that is. Yeah, really liked Part 2. I didn't buy it actually. I only got it digitally, but they're so difficult to get a hold of these days. Some of the Wasp albums and Annihilator ones. You can find it. You're paying £30 for a CD, so I might as well stay with $7.99 for a digital copy. Well, highly recommended if you just want straight songs, don't care about the story. That's Neon God Part 2. I highly recommend it. Going to number 5 and talking concert albums. We have The Crimson Idol. Now this is an interesting one. This doesn't include the reversion he's done called Re-Idolized, which is alright. Some on the tour actually, that was really good. They played the whole thing and it works. But I had a few issues with the album back in the day, and I still have them. But the highlights on here are some of the best that Wasp have ever produced. But there's a few issues, which I'll quickly go through now. I won't bore you too long. Great overture to start with. And one of the issues I've got, which is littered through the opening track, which is called The Invisible Boy, is the drumming. The drumming is near on awful, because every couple of seconds you got a tom roll. and it's just once you hear it, you can't unhear it, and it just irritates me. And it's listed all the way through this album. Sometimes it's more skies than others, but like especially on the Invisible Boy, it goes, "Who am I?" Digga 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 digga. You wouldn't even program a drum machine that badly, I don't think. I don't know. I find it very difficult to get past on some songs, and Invisible Boy being one of them. Arena of Pleasure after that, that's an absolute belter. He's still got a little bit of that constant tomfoolery. But that's a great song. I think the song wins out, as he does with the Chainsaw Charlie. What a great song that is. One of Wasp's best songs ever. Then you got The Gypsy Meets the Boy, which is a rewrite of a B-side that they did called From the Bell Tolls, I think. You just did to come over acoustic number. So because I knew that, it was a bit disappointing just to hear was something that had been recycled. Dr. Rockter, it just seems to be a rewrite of I Don't Need No Doctor. So I was a bit disappointed in that. I think, oh God, you can walk with something better than that. Iron One is okay, and one of the greatest pseudo ballads in metal ever. This is The Idol. I just love that. Still do. Still not bored of it. They did a promo video of that, but I wouldn't ignore that. I'd ignore that. Missed off the acoustic intro to it, which is a brilliant way to lead up to it. It's epic, sounds fantastic, melody's great, the meaning behind it is fantastic as well. It's one of metal's highlights, all of metal. I think what a wonderful song that is. And then they've got Hold On To My Heart, which is a bit of a waste of time really. It's just a nice acoustic one. And then finish it off with the epic The Great Misconceptions of Me, which is fantastic, which kind of brings it all together. So the highlights, it's like The Great Misconceptions of Me, The Idol, I Am One, Chainsaw Charlie, and Arena of Pleasure. 5 fantastic songs with great return for the listening to that. It's not bad for your money. But this is the time when I used to get all the singles as well. And one of the B-sides, I think it was Chainsaw Charlie, was one called Phantoms in the Mirror. Why that didn't make the album, I do not know. And I'd rather hear the song The Eulogy rather than Hold On To My Heart. Even so, if you put those two songs, those two B-sides in, I think it would have made it even more epic of an album, and probably would have gone up a couple of spots on my ranking. Why those two tracks didn't make it, I don't know. I think they probably made it into. Did they make it into the re-idolised ones? Just have a quick look. No. Or did it? No, doesn't look like it. No reason why not to get it. But yeah, there you go. It's a bit of a mixed bag, but the highlights are really, really strong. Saying this, I do have a few issues with it. Still not got over the drumming and some of the choice of songs. A bit of recycled stuff in there as well. Chainsaw Charlie's probably with the Interest Money Alone. What a great song that is. Right, we are down to the top 4. And there's another one I have, and that is Kill Fuck Die from 1997. Now, I think they're on this tour. This is one where they started. They had like a shock rock circus going on, going around to upset as many people as possible. Which is kind of, I think we need it again. Come on, Blackie, can you? Don't care how old you are. We need to shock today's society. Get back to what metal should be all about. Upsetting your mum and dad. Okay. Title track, Kill Fuck Die, very industrial. The production on it is very fuzzy, industrial sounding and raw as anything, but the songs are amazing. Take My Addiction is fantastic. My Tortured Eyes is amazing. My personal favourite is Killer Head, which is what Fantastic up rocker that is. Killer Pretty Face, Nasty, Fetus, Little Death. It's all really, really nasty stuff. And I think you can find some footage of the tour they went on after this. It's really, really shock stuff. When you get to shagging a nun on stage with a blade, that's the sort of level we're at. Good old Wasp. And even this, there's not much to this packaging. You just open that, you can see a bloke with a dead pig in a fridge. But I just love the album. I love what they were trying to achieve. This is one where Chris Holmes first came back, and this worked. If they'd done more of this rather than going back to do Eldorado, I wish I'd done. Yeah, I wish I'd done. Explored this area because it was nasty. It's visceral in its delivery, and memorable as well. Some great songs on here, well expertly delivered, and even though they're using those familiar chord progressions, you don't notice because the songs are so good, and the way it's been put across, you just don't notice. But Killerhead on here sounds fantastic. Highly recommended. I think it ranks quite high in people. I think it's so memorable and catchy in certain areas. Nasty. It's a nasty album. That's what metal is supposed to be about in certain areas, isn't it? Right, top 3. And that is top 3. 2007's Dominator. Fantastic album. Oh, not a weak moment on it for me at all. Even the cheesy one at the end. Deal with the Devil. I think it's fun, it's full of energy, with a great 1.5-minute ride out of solo industry. It's wonderful. Mercy's great song. Long way to the top. Long way to go. Brilliant. Take Me Up. Fantastic. Burning Man's one of my favourites. Heaven's Hung in Black is just a morose, melancholic, slow number that is worth your time. It's just fantastic. I think there might be a promo video for that. Brilliant stuff. Everyone Blessed and Teacher, all up tempo stompers. There's only 8 Wasp songs, but they're all top draw. I wasn't expecting something so brilliant from Wasp in this late in their career, but I thought it was wonderful. The songs are just fantastic. What can I say? It's all down to the songs, and I love them all. What is interesting is because it's basically the Blackie Lawless show, isn't it? But he's had the same bass player for about 30 years, I think. But this was an album. He got Doug Blair in on lead guitar. He's a really good player. If you watch him play, he's got a good feel to it without really doing anything overly fancy, But he's got a lot of soul and feel in his playing. Anyway, moving on. Dominator. If you haven't got that, highly recommended. Number 2 is the debut. Wasp. Simple as that, from 1984. It's just hit after hit, isn't it? I Want to Be Somebody, Love Machine, The Flame, BAD, School Days, Hellion, Sleeping in the Fire, On Your Knees, Tormentor, The Torture Never Stops. I mean, going back to it, I can see why it's at number 2. I don't think every song's really that strong. Torture Never Stops, he's alright. Never been a big fan of BAD, must admit. But I Want to Be Somebody, Love Machine, Hellion, Sleeping in the Fire, even On Your Knees. I think they played that on the last tour we saw him, and still works now. Up tempo, gets your fist pumping. On your knees, yeah. But he suffers a little bit from production. Is it where you should start with Wasp? Yeah, one of the places anyway. Yeah, I'd start with it because the songs are so strong. I think a good place to start for Wasp. Which leads us on to number 1, and I did a top 10 of my favourite albums a couple of years ago. I was only on Facebook, and this made it into my top 10 albums of all time, and I still love it today. That's Headless Children. This one has survived the vacant box, as it were. or is it 1989? It's just amazing. And Blackie Lawless, for me, is a very clever chap. I think I like to think he recognised which way the wind was blowing, even in '89, and he realised that the LA scene of big hair metal was going to run out of steam, so better change tack, which he did on this, and created something that has a ton more gravitas to it. The Heretic and Headless Children and Thunderhead, all big songs. I mean, anthemic songs. Mean Man and Forever Free is a really good ballad on here. Sounds $1 million as well. Just I think what they spent on it. Man Eater is good up tempo rocker. Rebel in the FDG, fantastic. Not one single weak moment on it. And then again, rare occasions where a cover works. A cover of The Real Me works absolute treat. But he's sandwiched in between three huge songs. The Heretic's probably my favourite Wasp song. Headless, the whole thing is just a masterpiece from start to finish. And even though they changed tack, they're still getting into. I remember they were still getting into the British charts at the time. I remember seeing them do The Real Me. I think it was on the telly. Highly recommend. If you've not got that, give it a listen. Even if it's for just the Heretic alone. The Heretic, the Headless Children, and Thunderhead, fantastic. And I think because they went down the route of having a little bit more gravitas to their songwriting, or expanding their songwriting chops, this is why they're still going now, and still got a dedicated fan base, and didn't stick with just doing the shock rock type things that they'd all been piled in. All these bands have been piled into. I think they themselves were running out of steam. They had to mix it up a little bit. So there you have it. There you go. It's my countdown of the Wasp discography. Huge fan of Wasp, as you can say. I can probably tell. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, they were touring the first 4 albums in October, I think it was, in Manchester, but they've had to cancel it. Not rescheduled, just cancelled it. So very disappointing. But hopefully you see them very soon. Hopefully next year or the year after, they'll come back and do that tour. They could just tour that, Blackie, and take my money. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. See you soon. Bye.